Daenys!
Balerion the Black Dread stands out as one of the most formidable creatures in the history of Westeros and Essos. He wasn't just any dragon, he was the largest Targaryen dragon ever known after the conquest, with black scales, black wings, and flames that burned black with hints of red. His fire could melt stone and steel, and turning sand to glass. At his peak, his wingspan cast shadows over entire towns, his teeth rivaled swords in length, and his jaws could swallow an aurochs whole, or even one of those massive mammoths from beyond Ibn. Named after an ancient Valyrian god, Balerion lived over 200 years, making him the last living being to witness Valyria in its prime. Dragons grow as long as they have food and space, and Balerion had plenty of both until his later years. This story draws from George R. R. Martin's books like Fire and Blood and A Song of Ice and Fire, as well as the shows Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, where his skull looms as a reminder of Targaryen power. Let's start at the beginning. Balerion hatched in Valyria sometime before 114 years before Aegon's conquest. That's around the time when the Valyrian Freehold dominated Essos with its dragon lords and sorcery. He was one of 5 dragons that Aenar Targaryen, forewarned by his daughter Daenys' prophetic dreams, brought with his family to Dragonstone to escape the impending doom. In the show House of the Dragon, a prop book in Season 2 suggests Daenys herself claimed Balerion when he was no bigger than a horse, the night before her dream of Valyria's fall. Whether that's strict book canon or a show edition isn't clear, but it fits the idea that Balerion was young and manageable then. The doom struck around 114 BC, a cataclysm of volcanoes, earthquakes, and chaos that wiped out Valyria and most of its dragons. Balerion survived as the only one of those 5, becoming a living link to that lost empire. The Targaryens settled on Dragonstone, a rocky island off Westeros' east coast, where they kept their Valyrian traditions alive, including dragon riding. For over a century, Balerion grew on Dragonstone under Targaryen care. By the time Aegon Targaryen, later known as the Conqueror, claimed him, Balerion was already massive and battle-tested. Aegon bonded with him before marrying his sisters Visenya and Rhaenys, who rode Vagaran Meraxes. This trio of dragons and riders changed Westeros forever. Before the full conquest, Aegon took Balerion east to the disputed lands in Essos. Pentos and Tyrosh allied against Volantis and invited Aegon to join. He flew to meet their leaders, then torched a Volantine fleet at Lyse. That early victory showed Balerion's power. His fire not only destroyed ships but struck fear into enemies. In Fire and Blood, it's noted how Balerion's presence alone could sway battles, a theme that carries through his life. The conquest proper began in 2 BC when Aegon landed at the mouth of the Blackwater Rush, building a simple fort that would become King's Landing. Balerion was key from the start. Aegon rode him against Lords Mootton and Darklyn, who opposed him early on. Both lords fell quickly. Then came the infamous burning of Harrenhal. King Harrenhal, the Ironborn ruler of the Riverlands, had just finished his massive castle Harrenhal, thinking its walls could withstand any siege. After Ironborn forces won at the Wailing Willows, Balerion burned them on the God's Eye Lake. Aegon then flew to Harrenhal itself. Harren refused to yield, mocking the idea of dragonfire breaching stone. But Balerion's flames were so intense they melted the towers like wax, twisting them into the ruined shapes still standing centuries later. Harren and his sons roasted alive inside, ending House Hoare. News of this spread fast. Even the men of Crackclaw Point surrendered to Visenya without a fight, fearing the same fate. In House of the Dragon, we see echoes of this terror when characters reference the conquest. It's why dragons command such respect and dread. Next was the Field of Fire in 2 BC, perhaps Balerion's most devastating display. Kings Loren Lannister of the Rock and Mern Gardner of the Reach joined forces with over 50,000 men against Aegon's smaller army. Aegon with his sisters unleashed all 3 dragons. Balerion led the charge, his black fire scorching the field. 4,000 men burned that day, including King Mern and his heirs, ending House Gardner. Loren surrendered, bending the knee to become Warden of the West. This battle broke the back of resistance in the south and west. Up north, King Torrhen Stark marched south with 30,000 men, but halted at the Trident upon seeing Aegon's camp and hearing of the Field of Fire. Torrhen's half-brother Brandon Snow suggested sneaking in to kill the dragons with weirwood arrows, but Torrhen dismissed it, knowing Balerion's fury. He knelt instead, earning the title the King Who Knelt. Balerion's mere presence prevented another slaughter. By 1 AC, Aegon was crowned in Oldtown by the High Septon, and he flew Balerion through the streets amid cheers. Legend says Balerion helped forge the Iron Throne by melting enemies' swords. Aegon wanted a seat that reminded kings of their duties, sharp and uncomfortable. In the books, songs embellish this, but Fire and Blood confirms Balerion's fire was involved. Post-conquest, Aegon used Balerion for royal progresses, flying across the realm to quell unrest and connect with subjects. In 2 AC, he flew to the Iron Islands to end their succession squabbles after the Ironborn killed their priest-king. Balerion's shadow over Pike and other isles ensured obedience. The First Dornish War from 4 to 13 AC tested Balerion further. Dorne resisted integration, using guerrilla tactics. Aegon flew south, finding Sunspear empty. After Lord Orrys Baratheon was captured and mutilated by the will of Will, Aegon retaliated by burning Will keeps. When Queen Rhaenys and Meraxes fell at Hellholt, shot down by a scorpion bolt, Aegon and Visenya unleashed the dragon's wrath. For 2 years they burned Dornish castles repeatedly. Sandstone, Vaith, Hellholt, Skyreach after House Fowler attacked Nightsong. Sunspear was spared to avoid making martyrs, but the rest suffered. In Fire and Blood, it's described how Balerian's fire fused sand into glass at spots like the Scourge riverbed. Dorne eventually sued for peace in 13 AC, but the war highlighted Dragon's limits against hit-and-run foes. Throughout Aegon's reign until 37 AC, Balerion remained his mount, growing ever larger. Aegon died peacefully on Dragonstone, telling tales of the conquest to his grandsons. After Aegon's death, Balerion didn't stay riderless long. His son Maegor, later Maegor the Cruel, claimed him in 37 AC. Maegor had waited, scorning lesser dragons as unworthy. That year, Jonos Arryn rebelled in the Vale, imprisoning his brother Ronald and declaring independence. Maegor flew Balerion there, landing on the Eyrie despite its heights. He hanged Jonos's men and freed Ronald, though Ronald died soon after in a mishap with the Moon Door. This swift action showed Maegor's ruthlessness amplified by Balerion. Maegor was exiled to Pentos in 39 AC for taking a second wife, against faith customs. He took Balerion with him, imagine hiding such a beast. When his half-brother King Aenys died in 42 AC amid unrest, Maegor returned on Balerion to seize the throne, bypassing Aenys' son Aegon. He had Queen Alyssa Velaryon crown him on Dragonstone, then flew to King's Landing. Prince Aegon challenged him in 43 AC at the battle beneath the God's Eye. Aegon rode Quicksilver, a younger dragon, but Balerion tore into him midair, ripping off a wing. Both fell into the lake, only Maegor survived. This kinslaying marked Maegor's reign. The Faith militant uprising raged from 43 to 48 AC. Faith of the Seven opposed Targaryen incest and polygamy, arming warrior sons and poor fellows. Maegor used Balerion mercilessly. He burned the Sept of Remembrance in King's Landing, trapping hundreds inside. At the Great Fork of the Blackwater he scorched thousands of poor fellows. In the Westerlands he torched seats of houses Broom, Doggett, Falwell and Lorch for supporting the faith. He threatened Oldtown's starry Sept but held back when the High Septon died mysteriously, poisoned some say. In Fire and Blood, Grand Maester Benifer notes how Balerion's fire left fields barren for years. Maegor also finished the Red Keep, executing builders to keep secrets, and started the Dragon Pit to house dragons like Balerion and Vagar. Maegor's cruelty isolated him. By 48 AC his nephew Jaehaerys claimed the throne with support. Maegor's men deserted. He was found dead on the Iron Throne, wrists slashed, suicide or murder. Balerion returned to Dragonstone, riderless again. During Jaehaerys' reign from 48 to 103 AC, Balerion stayed mostly in the Dragon Pit after its completion. In 54 AC, 9-year-old Princess Aeria Targaryen, Maegor's niece and a wild child, claimed him secretly and vanished. Aeria, heir presumptive briefly, stole away on Balerion from Dragonstone. Jaehaerys searched frantically, offering rewards via Master of Coin Rego Draz. Her mother Rhaena flew on Dreamfire but found nothing. For over a year, no sightings, despite Balerion's size. Septon Bath in Fire and Blood speculated Balerion flew where he willed, perhaps back to Valyria as Aeria couldn't control him. In 56 AC, Balerion crashed into the Red Keep's yard with Aeria clinging on, emaciated and feverish. She died horribly that night, her body convulsing with heat and smoke, as if cooked inside. Bath examined her, finding parasitic creatures like fireworms bursting out, horrors from Valyria's ruins. Balerion bore fresh scars, a 9-foot gash on his side, smoking blood. Bath concluded Balerion took Aeria to the shattered smoking sea, where Valyria's 14 flames still erupt, infested with monsters. Survivors' tales in the books speak of demons and twisted stone. Balerion's wounds confirmed the dangers. This episode, one of the eeriest in A Song of Ice and Fire, shows even mighty dragons feared Valyria's remnants. After Balerion was chained in the Dragon Pit, the first dragon there, watched by new dragon keepers, by now over 170 years old, Balerion slowed. In 75 AC, Princess Alyssa wanted a dragon. Keepers steered her from Balerion, calling him old and sluggish, toward Meleys instead. Young Prince Balon once smacked his snout in the pit, earning Balon the Brave. A light moment in Fire and Blood. Balerion's last rider was Prince Viserys Targaryen, future Viserys I in 93 AC. A scene in House of the Dragon, Viserys was Balerion's final bond. But the dragon was ancient, over 200, no longer growing, heavy and hard to wake. Viserys flew him thrice around King's Landing, but Balerion struggled. Viserys told his father Jaehaerys he meant to reach Dragonstone, but doubted Balerion's strength. In the show, Viserys mentions this proudly to Rhaenyra before Balerion's skull, emphasizing the honor despite the brevity. Balerion died of old age in 94 AC during Jaehaerys' reign, peacefully unlike his fiery life. He was at least 208, possibly older. His death left Vagar as the oldest surviving conquest dragon, though she never matched his size. Balerian's legacy endured long after. His skull, largest of 19 Targaryen ones, hung in the Red Keep's throne room until Robert's rebellion in 283 AC. Robert Baratheon, hatting Targaryens, stored them in a cellar. In A Game of Thrones, the book and Season 1, Arya Stark hides among the skulls, overhearing Varys and Illyrio. Tyrion sees hid skull during Cersei's wedding to Robert in 284 AC. In Season 7, Qyburn demonstrates his scorpion bolt on Balerian's skull to Cersei, piercing it to show it could kill Daenerys' dragons. References pop up throughout. In A Clash of Kings, Aggo compares Daenerys' black dragon Drogon to Balerion reborn. Daenerys renames her ships Vagar, Meraxes, and Balerion, signaling dragon's return. In A Storm of Swords, Tyrion finds Shae posing nude in a dragon's skull, likely Balerion's, her dress on a tooth. Princess Rhaenys, Rhaegar's daughter, named her black kitten Balerion, playing pretend conquest. A Feast for Crows mentions a colored ink illustration of him in Maester Tomax's Dragonkin book. In House of the Dragon, his skull appears in Season 1, where Viserys shares Aegon's prophecy with Rhaenyra before it, a pivotal scene tying past to future threats like the Long Night. Myths grew around him, breath-melting knights, swallowing horses, sometimes mixed with Meraxes, his willfulness noted by Bath. Songs recall the Iron Throne forging, the field of fire as a sea of flames. Even in death, Balerion symbolizes Targaryen might and fragility. His return from Valyria with scars hints at horrors beyond Westeros, fireworms and mutated beasts in the smoking sea. Daenerys' Drogon, black and fierce, echoes him. Some fans speculate connections, but books leave it poetic. Balerion's story reminds us dragons, for all their power, age and die, their bones outlasting empires. From Valyrian hatchling to Westerosi legend, he shaped history, his dread shadow lingering in tales and ruins alike. From hatching in the heart of Valyria to forging the Iron Throne and leaving scars on the world that still echo in the books and shows. But now it's your turn to join the conversation. Drop a comment below. Which rider do you think handled Balerion best? Aegon the Conqueror, Maegor the Cruel, or maybe even young Viserys? Or if you could claim any dragon from the lore, would it be the Black Dread himself, or something smaller and sneakier like Dreamfire? Share your thoughts, theories, or even your favorite book quote about him. And hey, if this sparked your interest in more Game of Thrones deep dives, hit that like button to let me know, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.